Hello. If you found this video, then this should hopefully mean some very good news for you. If you suffer from fibromyalgia and even chronic fatigue syndrome, maybe even some other chronic pain related and fatigue related problems, then this could be potentially life-changing news. There have been some recent studies that I'm going to share with you that seem to really be pinpointing the cause of all of the symptoms of fibromyalgia. The pain, the fatigue, IBS, brain fog, all the different things that have been linked to it. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I came across finding this and how I managed to then find the actual scientific papers that are actually saying this about fibromyalgia. I started off as a chiropractor, and I find that some patients with fibromyalgia would come and they'd have amazing results by unlocking the spine, working on the muscles, and they would feel a lot better for a very long time. Whereas some people, about 75%, they'd get very temporary relief, and some of them wouldn't really get any relief at all. So I was thinking, well, how can some people they've been diagnosed with fibromyalgia get one response and another lot get no response? So I started to think, well, maybe spinal problems are mimicking fibromyalgia. So the people that get better with the kind of spinal care I was giving, they didn't actually have fibromyalgia. They had fibromyalgia symptoms that were actually caused by a spinal problem. So it looked like fibromyalgia, but it wasn't. And then as time went on, I discovered various nutrients that were meant to be good for fibromyalgia. Magnesium and malic acid were supposedly very good, and I learnt this from patients with fibromyalgia. And in the scientific papers, there is some evidence to back these up. But again, not everyone gets better with these. So I figured, well, some people with fibromyalgia, what the problem is actually magnesium deficient, and it leads to the symptoms and problems of fibromyalgia. Then a few years ago, I came across someone called Dr. Bob Rakowski, and he introduced me to a specific supplement that I was not using in my clinic, and also a specific detoxification protocol that I was not using in my clinic. And when I started putting patients, in fact, I started by putting myself through it, and I had amazing results on myself. Dr. Rakowski uses this with his Olympic athletes. He uses this with his terminal cancer patients. When I started putting my patients through this protocol, people who'd had pain for years, people who'd had fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, they all saw results. Again, to varying degrees, but they all saw results, positive results, steps in the right direction. Then, earlier this year, I found there was a study on this particular supplement that Dr. Rakowski had introduced me to that showed that it actually helped improve the physical fitness of women with fibromyalgia. And I thought, fantastic, great. So not only are my fibromyalgia patients showing results with this supplement, there's actually other people have actually investigated it properly, and it does indeed work. So I dug a little bit deeper to try and figure out why this might be working. And this year there was a study that has revealed the molecule that may well be the underlying cause of all of the fibromyalgia symptoms. And it's a molecule called adenosine monophosphate. Now, what should happen, now this is in just every single cell, it's very important for the production of energy in a particular part of your cell called the mitochondria. Your mitochondria are the powerhouses of your cells. And adenosine monophosphate, when it's activated and it becomes AMPK, which is adenosine monophosphate-activated kinase, phosphate-activated kinase, what happens is it helps produce energy. But it also does other things. It helps modulate pain and inflammation. It is very active in the hypothalamus in the brain. It's very active in all of your body. And so it helps regulate energy and also pain. So it decreases pain and inflammation. And what has been found in fibromyalgia patients is their mitochondria, it has the AMP, but it does not get activated. It does not get activated through a process called oxidative phosphorylation. and they couldn't find any genetic reason. They looked at the genetic code of the mitochondria in fibromyalgia patients. They could not find a reason why this was happening. So it does not seem to be genetic. And they didn't find out why. What they found is, they found out that actually there are ways you can get the AMP into AMPK and activate it. And so they were recommending things like a calorie restriction diet. This actually helps activate AMP into AMPK. And a calorie restriction diet is actually part of the detox protocol that we use in the clinic. So I thought, oh, fantastic. There's actually scientific evidence as to why this can work. What the investigators also used is they used a drug called metformin, which is used to treat diabetes. Now, while metformin can actually activate AMP, it is, if you look at the research and if you actually go to the mitochondrial disease website, metformin is one of the drugs that's known to actually inhibit the full function of the mitochondria over a long period of time via other processes. So even though metformin may actually give fibromyalgia patients temporary pain relief, in the long term it will actually inhibit the mitochondria and stop working and probably make things worse. In fact, there are a lot of drugs like amitriptyline, paracetamol, ibuprofen, that even though some of them can actually have a temporary effect on activating AMPK, which can make you feel better for a while, they have all been shown to be toxic to the mitochondria. So what is the natural substance that seems to be good for it and good for mitochondria? It's a mushroom called the reishi mushroom. And there was a study done last year on women with fibromyalgia, and it showed that giving them 6 grams a day for 6 weeks improved their physical fitness and helped their feelings of well-being and helped decrease pain. So my top tip is to start taking the reishi mushroom 6 grams a day. Now, there are many different qualities and types out there. We use a very specific one in the clinic. I can't mention it here. It will probably turn a lot of you off if you actually knew what it was anyway or who made it. But you can try various forms of reishi mushroom. Go to a nutritionist, go to a good health food store and find a good quality one. And I'll put the links to the paper below. So that's the first part of the story, which is about the AMP. But searching further, we've probably found out why fibromyalgia patients aren't able to activate the AMP in the same way that most other people can. And because I know that people's attention spans are quite short, I'm going to leave the video here and I'm going to do a second video on the second part, which explains more. Okay, be well. If you want to make sure you don't miss the next video, then hit the subscribe link, which will be around here somewhere. Or if you want to know more about AMPK and how it is involved in the rest of the body, then I'm going to put something on my blog about this. So look out for a link below on YouTube that will take you to my blog and tell you more about AMPK and how many things it's possibly related to. Okay, be well.